Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Shifted. And today I am celebrating 365 days of consecutive daily meditation. And I'm here to ask you if you will celebrate with me. So, earlier this week, I hit this milestone in my personal development journey. And today I want to share about it with you. So, like I said, I am celebrating 365 consecutive days of meditation. And I literally have my human design and numerology to thank for it. These two tools helped me create a rhythm that produced consistency with something I've wanted to do for years, yet could never quite stick with it. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I set a goal of I'm going to meditate every single day and would start off strong just to fall off the bandwagon. Same thing with journaling or many other personal development practices that I have tried to implement. And sometimes I would be on a roll. I remember with journaling, I would go for months and then I completely fell off the bandwagon. And I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe this just isn't meant for me. Or this is impossible for me to consistently keep up with on a daily basis. Maybe that rhythm is not what's meant for me. And I just need to go along with the flow. I literally was making reason after reason after reason to help justify why I had fallen off the bandwagon. And so I'm curious, has this ever happened to you? And while I could literally go on and on about human design and numerology and how you too, if you've experienced something like this, can help you find your rhythm, there's actually something else that I want to dive into today with you. And trust me, we'll talk more about the human design and numerology on another day. But there's something a little bit more important that I feel on my heart to share with you. So, February 23rd, 2026 actually marked day 365. So, I've been using an app called Insight Timer to meditate. And if you don't have this app, highly recommend it. But specifically inside this app, I mean, they've got a whole bunch of different things. They have meditation music, they have guided meditations, they have, a bunch of different courses, and they even have information on local and not local retreats. But they have something in there that's called a timer. And you literally use this for your own meditation. It's some kind of sound, whether you use a sound bowl or a different musical instrument to kind of mark the start of the timer. And then for however long you had the timer go, there's like nothing in between. There's no music, there's nobody talking, there's like nothing. It's just like dead silence. And then when the timer is up, you get the same ding again. So this is the main feature of this app that I have been using specifically for this daily meditation routine. So I would set the timer for 5 minutes. Yep, literally just 5 minutes. As I would lay down in bed with my eyes closed and, like I said, no music going on in the background. It was literally just complete silence. So, as you can imagine, my brain is racing with thoughts. It is literally like a runaway train during these 5 minutes. And what I've been doing during this 5 minute watching this train go by at a gazillion miles an hour is I learned how to just take a step back and observe the thoughts, not really interact with them in any way. And what I mean by interaction is like trying to answer questions about it, trying to think it through, try to make logical sense of the thought, trying to rationalize the thought or conceptualize the thought. Instead, I would just observe, kind of like people watching. And as I would observe, the racing thoughts would begin to slow down. And the pauses in between each thought would start to get longer and longer and longer. And in 365 days, I will tell you, the thoughts never came to a complete stop. That train just kept on going. It never stopped to pick up any more passengers. The train was literally full. And with a lot of conversations that I've had with people about meditation is that they believe meditation is all about silencing the mind. It's about getting all of the thoughts to stop. And because they can't, they think that they're not good at meditation or that it doesn't work for them. And the reality is I don't believe that that's really possible. I don't believe that we can ever get to a point where our brains become completely empty. Like there's no thought process, no imagination, no nothing going on inside of our brain. So I never actually set that as a goal for when I was meditating. Instead, my goal was literally just to slow down that train and watch it as it goes by. Like I'm a passenger waiting on the deck for the train instead of a passenger sitting inside the train. Sometimes when the timer rings in like my 5 minutes is up, I would open my eyes, shut off my red light, turn on my Calm app. Love the thunderstorm in the Calm app. That and the ocean waves, so good for sleeping. Anyway, I would turn on the Calm app, roll over, and fall asleep. Other times the timer would go off, but I really didn't feel like I was done being in this moment, right? I wasn't ready to doze off. Like there were still thoughts that I could tell needed to pass through the train station. And then, sometimes I would doze off and would not realize it until I woke up the next morning and realized that the red light was turned off and the call map was turned on by my husband. So, really, at the end of the day, what has come from all of this? What have I gained? And the reality is that I have literally learned how to become an observer of my thoughts instead of letting them run my life by constantly reacting to whatever pops in my head during the day, which at the end of the day has reduced my anxiety, my stress, and even my overwhelm. It's like when I feel this racing train going during the middle of the day, I can literally just kind of pause, sit back, and watch the train go by, just kind of let it go by. And then once I notice the train start to slow down, then I pick up back where I was, with whatever I was working on or doing in that moment. Okay. So I'm curious, you probably have heard this saying before, but if you haven't, you have to let me know if this was the first time that you've heard it, because I feel like it's so common. And that is your thoughts don't define you, your actions do. And, I use this a lot with not only my clients, but even like in parenting, with my son, like when he tells me that he's having bad thoughts and I'm able to share with him like, hey, we all do, we're human and it's perfectly normal and it's perfectly okay to have those thoughts. What really matters, what actually defines you, is what you do about those thoughts. Are you acting on them? Trust me, there's plenty of times I want to strangle people, but I actually don't go out and strangle them, right? And if I did, then that would cause a lot of big problems. So even though I may not go out and strangle that person, the reaction that I have to the thought of strangling them is just as powerful as strangling them. So, what am I letting this feeling of wanting to strangle this person actually do to me in my day and how I'm feeling and how I'm moving forward in the rest of my day? Am I becoming irritated and frustrated and my fuse is really short. So, the one little thing that normally wouldn't bother me totally sets me off. And then I yell at somebody that absolutely doesn't deserve it. This is an action. This is a reaction from a thought that we have. So I want you to think about this for a moment. When you have racing thoughts, like it's a runaway train, what do you feel? Like, what do you feel inside your body? Are you feeling anxiety? Do you feel stress? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel this like tightness in your chest? Do you feel this shrinking of your body? Are you just wanting to hide? Are you feeling like you're a failure, like you can't keep up, like you're always behind or that you're not good enough? These are literally reactions that we are having to those thoughts. And it's almost like it's keeping us trapped and it's holding us back. Another thing to kind of think about is, these racing thoughts, it's usually about something that happened in the past, like maybe a conversation that really didn't go as pleasant as you would have liked, or, maybe your client dropped off with you, or, it's something that you're worried about happening in the future, you know. So it's either pulling us back into the past or it's throwing us into the present, it's throwing us into the future, which means that it's dragging us out of the present moment. And if we're not here to enjoy and live in the present moment, then aren't we just in a hurry to either continue to relive our past again or get closer to our last day on earth by pushing ourselves into the future? So, yeah, I'm going to let that sink in for you, really, for just a quick second. Because at the end of the day, where do you want to be? Do you want to keep reliving your past over and over and over again? Are you, where are you like in a hurry to get to? You know, your kid's graduation when they're just a toddler? Because you're worried about how quickly they're going to grow up. And so you're thinking about their high school graduation. Meanwhile, while you're thinking about that, you're missing these sweet moments as a toddler, or maybe frustrating moments too, because be real. It's a toddler. But I think you get what I'm putting down here. So, my hope for you today, with me sharing what I have gained out of finding my rhythm to be able to practice this meditation in the way that I do, is that you learn to become an observer of your own thoughts instead of constantly reacting them to. Being in a position where you are literally just hanging out on the platform, sitting down relaxed, maybe with a book or a newspaper open as you are just watching this train whiz by, instead of running down the platform, waving down the conductor and saying, wait, stop, let me on. That you reframe meditation from silencing the mind to simply just taking a step back to observe your thoughts without shame or judgment. Because at the end of the day, if you try to just silence your mind, this is literally no different than just like avoiding your feelings, avoiding any emotions that you have, suppressing them, pushing them down. Like, nope, I don't have time to be sad. I don't have time to be frustrated today. You very well know that when we do that, it just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. Well, it's the same thing with our mind, with our thoughts. If we don't allow them to move through the train station, okay, then they're just going to get backed up. And all of a sudden, you're going to go from having a whole bunch of space and peace by being by yourself or just with a few other people on the platform to it being like walking down New York City and just like, oh my gosh, so many people. Like, there's a reason I don't live in New York City. I need my space. And in that space, we find peace, we find satisfaction, we find joy, we find success, we find surprise. Or I hope that today you realize that once you find your natural rhythm, anything is literally possible, even if you have tried and quote unquote failed at something before. Just because you weren't able to meet a goal doesn't mean that it was a bad goal, especially if that goal, you can't just like let go of it. You can't walk away from it. You just keep coming back to it. That's for a reason. And it doesn't mean that you're broken either. It just means that you haven't found your specific rhythm. And this is the beauty of human design and numerology, is that this is going to show you what your natural rhythm is. And I would love to do a reading for you to help you uncover what that natural rhythm is. So if you're interested in doing a one-on-one reading with me, check the show notes, check the links below, because I'm going to put in a link there for you where you can go and book a one-on-one reading for me. So friends, please celebrate this huge milestone with me today by sending me a DM, hitting reply, putting in the comments below, depending on how and where you're listening or watching this episode today, and share with me what inspired you from my story today. What is something that you have been trying to accomplish in life, whether that's something in your personal growth journey or not, and you just can't seem to create some kind of consistency. I would love to hear from you. So try this and see what shifts for you. Hi, I'm Kimberly Romano, Indian wedding photographer turned brand photographer and human design reader. Thank you for tuning into Shifted, the podcast that is here to spark a shift in you that creates big change in your energy, perspective, and direction. And if this episode sparked a shift in you, then subscribe and leave a review sharing what your shift was. Not only will this help others discover this podcast, but your shift can inspire them to have a shift of their own. Please remember, the content you hear in this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and should not be taken as legal, health, or financial advice. For professional guidance, I encourage you to seek out a trusted expert near you. Thank you again for tuning into Shifted. Until next time, keep leaning into the shift.